People will say, the gang members started this garden, and then they'll say, oh no, it was the Puerto Rican people who lived in this neighborhood started this gardens, and then they'll say, well, the squatters started the garden, and then the people there now will say, no, they were just all drinking and drug addicts, and we started the garden. But then when you found out the gang members did this, and the people at Charles del Bajío, they built this part of the garden. And then the squatters built the stage. Each time they brought it up to a new level. My favorite thing about community gardens is the word community is built into it. So no matter how anybody wants to distort that part of history, it's a community garden. They were abandoned spaces and they reclaimed them. The city was broke back then. So they didn't want these dangerous places for their kids, for drug addicts, for bad things to happen. So they actually got together as a community and pulled out all the materials, the wood, the lumber, the bricks from the building actually falling down, and they put it on the street. And the city worked with them and actually picked up some of the garbage, but most of the time, almost all the time, the people from 30 years ago, even 40 years ago, till exactly today, did all the work, spent all their time, all their money working in the garden. They actually started recycling in one of the gardens on 6th Street. That recycling wasn't even being done by the city. So the city has copied some of the programs that started at the gardens.
The land is owned by the city. I've always made the argument that actually it's owned by the people. A lot of the original community gardeners are my age. I mean, they're older, they're in their 60s, and they're aging out, essentially. We need to show youth and other people who don't know about gardens what the real value is. We have summer youth programs, and we try to do everything we can to make that happen, to try to change. So that's yet another way that you affect change, and by bringing in, younger people who are going to try to push in different ways. It always amazes me when you look back and you think, wow, we got a lot of people there without having cell phones or Facebook or Twitter or whatever. The youth will help us learn how to do that much better.
Community gardens are an essential component of a livable community. They are places of respite where people gather and organize and talk about issues that are going on in their neighborhood. It's a place where children can play in nature without having to leave the city. And it's a place for arts and culture where people get to express themselves through music and poetry.
The beautiful thing about Garbagia Island project that we're hosting at Loisaida, we're getting to revitalize that art and activism merger that the early Puerto Rican community who started living here always saw as pivotal. Loisaida became a metaphor of how you see a place that others see as waste or as disinvestment, and people can build treasures off of that.
The Giuliani administration went on TV. He was not shy at all and said, we're going to destroy every community garden. The gardeners weren't so good about protecting the garden or doing direct action. You need a lot of media attention. So other communities and groups came in to kind of help the gardens in that area. And this became a very successful campaign. There was a garden called Esperanza Community Garden that was on 7th Street, and over 100 people got arrested in 2000, the year 2000, to save that garden. That got so much media attention around the world, and then Elliot Spitzer came in the next day to save the gardens.
There's a lot of synergies between the East Village and the South Bronx and the Puerto Rican communities that live in both places. In the South Bronx in particular, there's been a lack of such green space and open space, especially along the rivers, where now, at this time, the gentrification pressures are extremely high. And for decades, there has not been one single inch of public green space. You could look at Asphalt Green, for example, on the Upper East Side, where there's a marine transfer station being reopened. They also have a wonderful greenway along the river. They also have a pool. They have a green space. They have amenities. The South Bronx has no such green spaces along the river. And so paddling up by water to the wonderful street festival was to show that people in the Bronx, in the South Bronx, we should also have the opportunity to have waterfront access, to be able to go on the water, just like they do in Brooklyn and parts of Manhattan.
Trash worship started in La Plaza Garden. The prophecy at that time, about 17 years ago, was that the whole world would be engulfed by waste and trash. So trash worship was a way of salvation from drowning in waste. The first time that Garbagia came up is when we appropriated some riverfront property in the South Bronx. The plan was to turn this sliver of land into a Garbagia land, like a fun park with rides and sculptures, all made from discards. The space went, but the idea is still a good one.
As part of Garbagia Island summer program, we did a couple of workshops. We had an automatic writing workshop. We incorporated a lot of the influence of Bimbo Rivas poetry. We did a Carmen Pabón workshop, taking the figure of Carmen Pabón and using it as an example of a community leader. The kids create their own community leader. They all create some kind of consciousness about how you can help the community and how you can support people in your community and make it better.
Loisaida, it's the appropriation of the Lower East Side by the Latino community.
La guerra, the war, y un poeta de este tiempo, de este pueblo, Loisaida.
Garbagia Island is about that conviviality, that merger of differences towards something bigger, of reclaiming hidden histories, invisible people that are not invisible to the people in Loisaida and the longtime residents. Those were the pirates that saw the potential in this area of this investment and created things from scratch and had the vision to do it. What we're trying to explore is how Loisaida, the metaphor, that actionable call from the early community builders of this area can inspire this new generation going through many of the same things in their own island. That vision of making something out of nothing, that do-it-yourself spirit, that being open to the world while at the same time getting your hands dirty, rooting yourself, thinking creatively, but at the same time being very rooted in the place and the environment where you are to see what possibilities there are in front of your face and looking for other angles in which to innovate and create value instead of what the standard value system usually is.
I've been thinking a lot about food waste and composting and how a lot of people don't want to compost, so I started going around the Long Island City neighborhood and collecting food waste in a 50-gallon drum that's usually used for oil. I blended them all together and cast them into sheets to make essentially fruit leather and cut it into ancient samurai armor.
Yo hago una máscara, yo no tengo idea de lo que va a ser, pero va a ser como ¿sabes? Es totalmente espontáneo, con una sensación que viene de aquí y creo la máscara. Le hago con un molde con plasticina, le tiro plaster encima, hago un negativo y después hago el papel maché adentro. Lo saco y le empiezo a poner más capas para darle como que una forma y una textura y lo pinto y después se convierte en otra cosa. Como que empieza haciendo algo y termina haciendo otra cosa. Y el personaje terminó siendo, como era tan malvado y es como una máscara, pues terminó siendo un developer que quiere quitar la basura del neighborhood y construir un high-rise building.
I decided to go to the laundromats around here and I collected several bottles. I had no idea what I was gonna do yet, but I thought the color of the detergent bottles created a certain interest in me. After I collected those containers, I came here and I start dissecting them. Kind of study the flexibility and ideas, what could come out of it. So as I start dissecting them, I just used two and put them like that, and I look in the mirror and I said, oh, this is so cute. It looks a sort of a face of an animal, a mask.